Awesome. Let's see. Okay, so I'm live streaming. For some reason it says I'm not signed into chat. That's okay. Don't really need it. This is live stream. I don't have anything scripted, but I have just some things I want to talk about and list of topics that I was going to research because that came up highest in the polls. The premise is just to talk a little bit about the channel, and if anybody comes in has any questions about anything, take them as they come in, whether they're about the channel or just my opinions about something I made a video before or something going on in the world. Let's expand this so it fills out the screen. Okay, so I'm just nobody's watching right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and go right into the research. So I'll talk a little bit about this video idea. This video idea, the history of ranking, is about me thinking about the Swiss tournament format for chess after watching League of Legends Worlds of all things. Thinking about why we have tournaments, how tournaments were historically structured, just trying to prevent some compelling narrative about unifying tournaments, their organization, and games. Okay. So the way I have my research organized is, well, in the name of privacy, I'm using a guest tab in Chrome, and then I'm logged in to a different window where I'll be keeping my notes. So you'll be able to see what I'm looking at in terms of the research, but you won't be able to see like what I've necessarily collected. But I might put stuff in paste bin while I'm working, so that you're better able to see what I'm looking at and what information I've collected so far. Okay. So for the history of ranking, let me see. I have another document. And I think I've already moved everything into a separate file. Okay, so here's what I have for the history of ranking. This is like my outline for how I'm trying to build up this video. So I want to start by contextualizing it in modern day ranking. So what kinds of head-to-head competitions exist today and how they determine their winners. And I'm going to contrast this with other types of ways of ranking or determining a winner. So auctions are another type of well-studied kind of economic format for determining a winner that is very different from ranking and tournament formats. And just getting a numerical number from everybody and ordering them by that measure is also something that won't be covered in this video. So first I'm going to introduce it as an economics question and introduce the Swiss system, which is an omnipresent ranking system. And I'm going to explain how the Swiss system, there's a lot of economic research into it that finds that it effectively tends to rank people if they have a true competence. It effectively tends to rate people to their true competence. And here I might also introduce the possibility of other ranking systems, both in the modern day and in throughout history. And there are definitely different ranking systems in the modern day. So, for example, in chess, a tournament might be determined solely through a set of Swiss rounds, But in many sports, it's common to go in to have a regular season, which is done in a Swiss system, and then a tournament bracket system, which is done with a knockout type of format. And I don't have any good examples right now. I'm going to do a little bit of research into that, but surely there's places where the Swiss system isn't used. So knockout brackets need other examples. Okay. And then I'd like to really think about the history of rankings. So when I'm researching tournament formats, something that comes up pretty often is this idea of the medieval jousting tournament. There's probably something to be found in the etymological roots of the idea of a tournament. And I think we have like a mental prototype of what dramatizations of medieval joust tournaments look like, but it is pretty unclear to me, at least, thinking about it, what the tournament structure of that type of competition looked like, right? Was it a elimination bracket? I doubt it was a Swiss system because the Swiss system had a very specific invention date. Um, but it'd be interesting to find out how they determined the winner. And there were also other tournaments throughout history in other cultures, like in China, for example, um, with Chinese chess, where it was also necessary to rank people, right? So introducing some other systems throughout history, looking at their evolution, and then looking at the history of the Swiss system. I have this hypothesis. So the Swiss system was invented for chess tournaments, where it makes a lot of sense because people are competing 1v1. And also, I think it's interesting because there's a lot of discrete competitors, which is a condition that might not have existed through most of history, right? Like how many jousters really are you going to get together, and can you logically compare them 1v, like are you going to try and rank them top to bottom? But with chess, it kind of makes sense that you might have 32 people participating in a tournament and you want to rank them top to bottom, right? So that kind of condition created the Swiss system. So this is kind of asking, um, was chess a unique circumstance to produce the Swiss system? Were there any chess-like circumstances prior that created similar or different tournament structures? Okay. So these are some of like the major topics that I was thinking of for this video. Um, the ELO system is also something that's relevant. I think it's relevant in terms of chess. It's also interesting because it's a system for ranking people that haven't played each other, that haven't directly competed against each other. Necessarily played each other. So, yeah, these are some of the major topics that I think are interesting in this space that make me want to make this video. And then here's some links that I found so far looking at different ranking systems. There's pretty good documentation of the chess Swiss system. But I haven't found like all the links to kind of cover everything here. So I think my initial objective as I start doing this research is just to find more information about tournament structures throughout history. Um, so I have a lot of different case studies to analyze and compare. Okay. And um, this is really how, yeah, my videos get made and started. right? When I have like an idea, when I think there's multiple interesting topics, I just go into Google Scholar and I read a billion PDFs and see what I can find. So these first three, if you've never used Google Scholar, it uh, is a search engine for academic journals, and it's usually my starting place in terms of finding kind of reputable, interesting, um, yeah, papers. Okay, and let's see. So this is an example of, I think, an economic analysis that primarily looks at like the statistics and describes different term and structures and their precision of ranking. So this is a good survey, but it doesn't have like the historical aspects. But it's useful. I'll include it. So I don't have like a citation tracker these days. I just give a short description of what the document is, and then I include a link. And these PDFs don't tend to go away really. So, okay, what's this? Test the implication of tournament theory using data on esports. So I'm not really interested in tournament theory. This is, let's see. I mean, I think there's something interesting about like how esports tournaments have adapted a lot of the language and structure of traditional sports tournaments. But it's also a completely illogical thing to do. But that's another kind of empirical economic paper. Um, Still looking for more historically minded papers. Tournament theory. This is going to be another economic paper. Okay. So that's really been my struggle for researching this so far. I want to try and not search for theory and see if I find more historically um, orientated papers. Gordon Knight's tournament. It sounds like some kind of diorama that they did. Not sure what this is. Management of history and public space. So this is like some kind of tourism exhibit. It's not very relevant. How to design multi-stage tournament. That's actually pretty interesting. I don't think this is going to be very useful for this video necessarily, but I think this is an interesting topic by itself. Fortune new link between competitive gaming sport and the Olympics. This is from the International Journal of the History of Sport. Competitive gaming has established its relationship with sport in the Olympics in the past 5 decades. Game manufacturers and publishers. I don't really know what this paper is about. I want to read it for a bit. The history of competitive gaming. The world's first competitive gaming event took place in 1972. Okay. Pac-Man Fever. Olympic themed sports games. Okay. Korea Esports Association. I mean, this is interesting. I think this is something that I mentioned earlier I'm slightly interested in. But I think I've considered like an Olympic esport type video before. I don't think it's that kind of compelling, and I don't think this paper has what I'm looking for. Mm. It might be something I revisit. There's good literature about something, right? So um, either I'm really interested in a topic and I think there's just enough information and I'm going to make a video about it and push that through no matter what, or I think that there's like sometimes there's just really good literature about a certain topic and it really makes you want to create a video because it's going to come together quickly and you're going to be able to assemble a video pretty easily just because of how good the literature is. What's this? Judging the tournament. What in the world? Tournament of judges. Ugh. Okay, I want to try a couple more pages of these results. Urban space and tournament in late medieval Brussels. So this is actually pretty promising. I feel like there might be something in this. African American ring tournaments in a post-bellum South. So that's 1970s and 80s. Parody of tournament politics. I feel like there's no way there's going to be any. This is going to be really complicated paper that isn't relevant to what I'm doing. Importance of a match. Real-time tournaments with midterm reviews. Okay, let's. Oh, I can't even see this paper. Is that the one I really wanted to see? No, I think this is. Let's zoom in. Tournament acquired meaning in the urban space where it was organized. These tournaments demonstrate the submission of the town to the ruler. At the end of the 11th and beginning of the 12th century, in northern France and the southern Low Countries, a new chivalric event developed. Placed in the countryside. Two teams performing mock battles against each other. I did not know about this structure. Okay, let me see. Early. I don't know how to spell this word. Medieval. Med. I-E. Okay, let me copy this into my research doc too. Usually explain from research a political perspective. Not use violence while practicing for wartime. Highly urbanized, proximity of towns. Also used for tourneying. About urban space. Tournaments in the Duchy of Brabant have only recently been studied in detail. Did I miss something? Attention from Low Country historians. Only 7 of these. Town government. Okay, let me see. In the park where the jousting field with a barrier was created. The town organization, total expenditure, grantor, grill market, 1690. Infrastructure, ephemeral architecture. This is interesting, but it doesn't tell me how the tournament was organized or how it proceeded. tournament could only require significance with the public to watch it. Now that's interesting. Therefore, special stands were erected. I'm going to copy that over. I'm going to copy that over. I think that creates. I'd like to find more textual evidence for that. But that's really interesting to me because that suggests that there is a very different understanding of victory and the way that the meaning of winning was transmitted socially with these tournaments than with modern tournaments, where in modern tournaments it doesn't really, I think, matter if the public is observing in, for example, chess tournaments, as long as there's an arbiter who agrees, who's like overseeing the competition, and the participants agree on the outcome. But here, the fact that people can watch it is said to be very significant. It's a show of authority, right? We should avoid determining these events as courtly ceremonies in which a prince was able to display this. Okay. It was a kind of joint venture between town and court. The prince could temporarily demonstrate the symbols of his authority in the most imminent urban space. Town could put stamp. Court ladies in the stands. Stresses the presence of women. Oh, yeah, they rented out their windows, which is quite cute. It's a lot like the F1 races that are the F1 street races. The relatively small adjusting however was not suitable for the melee tournaments. Tourneurs simply needed a crowd for both its approval and its amazement. Yeah, it's interesting content. So there's a social hierarchy. Town hall is a party hall. Social interaction. Inclusion. Okay. I'm satisfied here. I think there's a little bit more information. I personally understand medieval tournaments a little bit better. Let's take a look at this. American version of the medieval jousting tradition that had been reserved for the wealthy planter elite. Ring tournaments. Harnessing the sports ability and power riders. Ring tournament. It's the colonial period. Competition was the pomp of knighthood, ladies in waiting, and horsemanship, lore and literature. Wow. Safe, much safer alternative. After the king's unexpected match, jousting fell out of fashion. Competition. Huh. This is African American tournaments is nearly identical. Wow, I did not know about this at all. This is like its own video. Let's It's really cool. The 10 tournaments of spectators or servants have experience in the ring tournament. Enslaved equestrian experts. Several articles describe the tournaments in more details. Honor and courtship. The Black Middle Ages. Redounded to fundamental questions about the construction of race. Okay, cool. I'll keep this around. Alright, what's this one? Points of a match in a tournament. This is another economic paper. To selecting matches for broadcasting and assigning referees. Use logistic regression. Okay. That's pretty interesting. I don't think I'll use this, but I want to keep it around. Match importance. Brief history of tournaments. This seems legitimate. Decline all. Mention of the jousting and jousters. Knights fought for the honor of their chosen lady and prizes. Top marks are given for unhorsing an opponent. Yeah, okay. It's a little bit short on the details. Let's see. Britannica. It's actually interesting. This article seems to mirror the structure that I'm interested in creating, which starts with the history and it goes into sports competitions and describes the Swiss system. The melee. 2 bodies of armed horsemen. Not to be used. Some rules. Some tournaments are harmless, others are rough. Cloth covered barrier. Body on foot. Tilting at a rink. Okay. But it doesn't really talk about sports tournaments anymore. Bracket design. What's this? Such a weird website. What is this? I think I'm satisfied with. This is not a good website. Oh, it's a SEO page. Let's keep looking. Tournament structure. Efficiency, efficacy. Yeah, I mean, if this is the extent of articles that I'm going to find, then this video can't really come together. A history of games, toys, and puzzles in libraries. That's really cute, but not really relevant for this video. Tournament bill fishing. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more research on this and then try looking at another topic. Early sports competition ranking result. Oh, look at this. Where do rankings come from? Wow, how about that? Is this really a 400-page book about what I'm trying to make a video about? That'd be really cool. Okay. Well, it looks like all of these. Looks like a lot of these chapters are relevant. But let's take a look at this one. Performative Dimension Modern Rankings. The Arts, Competitive Sports, and Science Universities. Wow. Yep. This is it. This is exactly what I want for my video, and I'm just going to make a video about all of this. So, really glad I decided to revisit this topic just a little bit more before I moved on. Well, I guess it's actually a little bit unrelated to the premise of the video because universities are ranked not with a Swiss system. This is a numerical ranking, so I'll have to revisit this. But I'm sure there's some description. Let me see of this. Well, let me just search to see if there's any mention of the Swiss system in any of these chapters. Okay, how about ELO? ELO. No mention of ELO. What about chess? What are you talking about? Okay, so maybe. Alright. Maybe this is not relevant to the paper that I had in mind, to the video I had in mind, but it could become a slightly different video. Ranking. What are rankings? Modern fully developed ranking achieves this by combining four analytically distinct operations. Ugh, this is a pretty dense paper. It's weird that I can't find any mentions of, any mentions of tournament, any mentions of sport. History of their own. Historical, sociological perspective of the history of modern rankings. Okay. Our findings indicate the institutionalization in the Anglo-American context in the mid to late 19th century. Modern notions of performance competition and publicity transparency. Okay, yeah. I mean, this is really useful, even if it doesn't talk about the Swiss system specifically. Sports rankings were soon taken for granted. So there's a different discourse and manifestation of these notions of heterogeneous audiences. Our ranking. Okay, cool. Alright, I'm satisfied with this. I'll revisit this for my video. And I will conclude this topic here. And no one said anything in chat, so I don't suppose anybody has any recommendations for which of the topics in the description I'm going to research next. So I'm just going to do something silly, which is the Beatles and mangaka. So let me change the stream graphic. Okay. So the premise of this video is, let me close these tabs. This screenshot where I don't know if Junji Ito said my favorite band is the Beatles. And Miyazaki definitely did not say I fucking hate the Beatles in this screenshot. But I did a bit of research and he actually doesn't seem to like the Beatles. But the idea is just to figure out which mangaka like the Beatles or dislike the Beatles. Okay. And I need to find out what movie this screenshot is from. I found a couple of answers, but I've been scanning through the different Miyazaki documentaries and I haven't found this specific screenshot yet. He spends a lot of time being curmudgeonly. Okay. Yeah, this seems to imply that. Well, let's see. Let me find my notes document for this one. Mangaka. I think I was just doing it in my main document. Yep. Um, this one seems to imply people are saying that it's from the Wind Rises documentary, and so if these two screenshots are from the same place, then that would make sense. So I'll save this and keep it in mind. Okay, so the search terms that we need are Beatles. Okay. And then I also want to search for interview. And mangaka. So ideally, I want like a bunch of different. I want to create like a chart of how different mangaka feel about the Beatles. Um, is my objective. So this is my first attempt at finding more references. Mangaka Taisetsu no Koto. Okay, who's this? Shinji Dai no Manabu. Not familiar with this work. Oh, wow. Okay. The Life of Genius. Cool. Okay, but the real question is, what does she think about the Beatles? Oh, Horu Makato Nite. Paul McCartney. Okay, I'm just going to use Google Translate to make this a bit easier. Apparently, Paul McCartney of the Beatles had a lot of melodies in his head. He feels. But Paul and John are like a manga artist and an editor. Well, that's a very good quote for this video. Okay, so let's get another pastebin going. And I mean, obviously, there's like no direct evidence here that this person that Yamashita likes the Beatles, but it seems pretty obvious from referencing it, and it's just referenced once. So I think that's all for this one. Let me also include that Wikipedia article. Okay, so my search terms are working, which is good. Who are you? Manga John Lennon. So this is a manga retelling of John Lennon. So surely this person likes the Beatles, but I don't think they're a notable mangaka. I think this is like just a fan work that they're doing. Where is it? Masato Fujioka. Huh. This person has apparently been published before. How's her name written in Japanese? Fujioka. Doraemon. This person do Doraemon comics? I'm not sure. Okay, well, I'm not going to count on that one. What's this? Kaiji Kawaguchi. Who are you? Huh, interesting. I didn't know about this guy. But travels back in time. Oh, this guy really likes the Beatles. My goodness. See, and I'll have to figure out a way to get this translated or just read it myself. The Beatles. Cool. Interesting. Another manga about the Beatles. That looks pretty significant. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, it's going to be like really hard to find people that don't like the Beatles, but hopefully I can find some, because that'd be really funny. Let me see. Boku tachi wa Beatles wa amari yo. We don't like the Beatles very much. We don't know very much about the Beatles. Article writers. I wonder why the Beatles became so famous. I wonder why. That's cute. These people are not mangaka, so unfortunately I can't say I care about what they think about the Beatles. Who is this? Ero Sabuma. Just translate again. Oh, this is interesting. Haruki Murakami and his relation to the Beatles. I usually try and read these in Japanese, but it would take a little bit long, and I want to make some forward progress here. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Oh, that's not a name. Yeah, that was not a name. Peter Barricade. Masakazu Kitanaka. Peter Barricade. He's a English TV presenter, but he's not. Neither of those people are mangaka, so. It's the same person as before. Yep. This is someone's blog. Ah. Okay. Who the heck are you? Hideyasu Moto. I don't don't know this guy. Definitely mangaka has this unique style. Doesn't seem to be very doesn't seem to have published in English. Irasto Ita Iu. Who's this? What's this guy again? I don't really care about this guy. But he seems to really like the Beatles. What this one? I am the Beatles. The Beatles in manga. This is the Beatles cover band going back in time, which is pretty funny. This is really funny. I kind of want to read this. The Beatles only appear twice. Megas are not submarines but musical instruments. I don't think this is like a whole video. This is probably just a couple of shorts. But I think one thing I am interested in is I think that the influence of Western works, creative works, on Japanese media is a little bit understated, I think. And I think it is personally interesting. So let me see. For example, Frozen, as I understand, is pretty significant of an influence for a number of Japanese creators. Eikyo. Too lazy to type in Japanese. Mangaka o mezashite hahaoya ni Okay, let me copy this back over to my main document. Oop. Oh, I'll keep that up. I'll open that back up. Puro mangaka interview. Geto. Oh, the person who made Gate. That's hilarious. This person talks about Frozen? Where? G.I. Joe from Satoru Sakano. Who the heck? Does this person exist? Let's look at the English. No anime no mita koto ga kikake desu ne. Character wa original mangaka. Okay, yeah, it just made up a Japanese name. But let's talk. Interesting. G.I. Joe, huh? Okay, where is Frozen? It's not mentioned. Let me search it. Back to the Japanese. Okay, it's not mentioned. But G.I. Joe is mentioned. So I'll add this to a new document, to a new section. Okay. Fudo. Shonen Inza. It's based on 9 Mile? Boys in the Hood. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, what about this one? I originally discovered a specific artist I was influenced by Frozen in particular. Now I can't remember who it was, but that was kind of the whole foundation of this planned video. Who are these salarymen? Okay. Kuchi Kumuchiko Sensei Ebiwa. Start Ebi. Purozen. Yuzu no Purozen Shyokuruto. Who's this? Two-chan guy. Huh. What does this have to do with Frozen? Frozen yogurt. Japanese Wikipedia pages are so weird. Very different culture. Wizardori. Kaiten. Yokoso. Boston? From 2017. What is this? Life insurance. Boston Toa. Boston. Yurudori. Incredible. I-94. Cool. Wow, this is really detailed. Wow. Jeez. Medical care. Health insurance. Jeez, I'm getting lost in the sauce of this. This Boston. There's a section about like culture and stuff. There's recipes. Supermarketo. Satsa. Dip. Cucumber. Piman. I am lost in the sauce. Wow, who wrote this? So detailed. Tanoshimu. Chipu. Sushi. I'm gonna share this. How fun. What is this website? Oh, okay. Look at that. They're really active too. How nice. Woo, Boston. Okay, we're getting pretty close to an hour. I'm going to wind it down. Yeah, I think I found. What did we learn today? This uh, Beatles video doesn't exist. It's probably going to become a couple of shorts. I worked a bit on the ranking video, found a really promising article about it that can help me bridge like historical understandings to where the modern conceptions of rankings would come from. Seems like some people came in and out, but no chat, no questions, no Q&A. That's all right. I'll keep doing this. It was fun to just talk through my process for a little bit. And yeah, I plan to make a lot more videos in the future, so I'll keep these going. And I don't think anything really weird happened during this stream, so I'll probably leave it archived and people can check out my research and creative process whenever they want. So, anyone that came by, thanks for watching.